very much for coming. Can't believe it's November. But as someone pointed out, no, I hadn't done an open studio, September. I don't know what happened to September. It was really busy. I think, well, maybe we did meet in September. That I think we did, but definitely didn't meet in October. Um, if since you're here, you did also get the newsletter that we were in Great Britain for 3 weeks. So I was like a little busy that first week of October getting ready to go. So we just got back on Sunday night. The jet lag is all behind me. Anyway, what I'm going to do today is just show you a little bit about how I prep kind of for new paintings for season, but it'll also give you a good idea of prepping for, just paintings in general. And it all has to do with color and the different attributes of color. So I'll be talking a little bit about that. So just want to remind people that keep yourself on mute, but feel free anytime to just unmute and ask questions, make comments, whatever. And again, I apologize if I'm so close to the camera. I don't have the correct app on my new laptop, so I cannot manage the zooming in and zooming out that I normally do. So I've got it set up for the papers behind me. So I'm going to step to the side so I am not taking up most of the screen. Okay, so what I've got here are some papers, but I want to just do a little preemptive thing just to give you an idea. Sometimes people in classes, and this is kind of going off of what we talked about in class yesterday. Oops, I realized I forgot to set myself on.
Betsy, did you say what size those squares are?
I didn't, but they are 7 by 7 inch squares. And then this is just a regular 9 by 12 of pastel matte. And this is a 9 by 12 piece of Canson, my tins, and it is their regular pastel paper. It's not a sanded board. This is Moonstone, and it's the one that is my go-to color. I use it a lot for color studies and for testing colors. It's a nice neutral, slightly warm, but a nice neutral color that's about a mid-light value. So it's not too light, it's not too dark. It's I like that one a lot. So actually that goes to, so for instance, this is an example of what I had done to set up a summer palette. And it doesn't necessarily mean that I use all those colors, but what I've done is I've actually gone through, and this one's not terribly organized, but I really, I guess I just had so much fun doing this. I never went back in, and a lot of times I'll just set them up so that the values are in order. But I don't know. I'm just like one of these people. I get like partway through something that I would find tedious and I just don't do it. So it's a good idea if you have the inclination to then take your colors. These are just little test swatches and kind of like organize them so you have light to dark, warm, cool. You can set it up anyway, or you can just do it the way I do, which is just do a whole load of color swatches. And then on occasion, I get in there and I get things a little bit neater and more organized. But this serves my purpose. I just want to see color swatches, and that's my summer one. So I was going to do an autumn one today. So I was going to just show you how I go about getting that started, and then show what happens with the colors that I choose over here that are going to be on 4 different values, from your lightest, which is a white, to the darkest, which is their, I think they call it wine. I prefer to call it Merlot. So we're very specific. It's a nice warm violet. And then you've got your lighter, I think it's not the buttercup, maize, and this one here is the sienna. And Buttercup's not up there. Buttercup just is a little bit more yellow than this one, but it's about the same value as that. But these are the four that I had little swatches. I save my ends of papers because I always buy the big sheets and then I cut them to size because I like using all different sizes. So for me to buy a pad of 9 by 12s, uh, it's not as efficient for me as to buy the large. I don't buy the largest sheet, which I think is 27 by 39. I buy the one that's just, I think it's 19 by 20 something. So it's a decent size. You can get some good formatted props out of a big sheet. And I try to have very little waste. So these were actually 7 by 14 sheets that I hadn't used in a while, and just decided I'll cut them and I'll use them for this. So to start with, I'm thinking of an autumn palette, and what you haven't seen me do this afternoon, I'll describe. I went out and I took autumn photographs. The colors are looking really beautiful. The sky was a nice clear sky down here today. So I wound up having, some lovely blues. What I also did is I went through my stock of photographs that I have, and I moved them from general folders to a specific folder that says paint these. And that folder there just kind of, and it's the subfolder is autumn. And what that does is that tells me that these are some photographs that had a variety of different autumn colors that I can superimpose into my own photographs, or I could use the photograph as a reference, but it was more important what the color was than the composition. Now, I really, sometimes I just don't think a printed photograph actually can show you the colors as well. Yes, you get a clear idea of the general color, but those subtle nuances are much better to view on your digital device. It's backlit, so you get that really nice light that is coming right through the image. Things tend to flatten out. This looked totally different on my screen. I mean, those yellows were really singing. They were beautiful. The light that was hitting this boat and this boat really stood out. And even the concrete started to take on variations of blues and of violets. So it's lost a little in the printing. So I'm not actually putting up a reference because what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to just be looking at different images on my phone so that when we're going through, I'm just going to do a little test and I'm going to describe to you what I will be doing with my phone. But I have a stock of photographs here that really that shows up. The red when I printed it was so dull, it was ridiculous. It's just gorgeous on the phone, and that's what I want. So you're not going to be able to see that, but I don't really think that'll make a difference. And so, for instance, this one here I would like to paint. I kind of like doing that at the beginning of seasons, and I think you've heard me say that before. I like getting color palettes together. I like putting photographs together. This one was from the trip we just had, and again, that tree had some absolutely beautiful, very subtle orangey leaves and yellow leaves, and then tips of reds that were coming in here that kind of got lost in the printing. So I'm not doing a specific painting. What I'm doing is I'm setting up myself for a palette. So if you think of the idea of I said before, I try to paint seasonally. No, I don't always do that. But so now if I get together the different colors that I feel will represent the general idea of autumn in New England, then that will actually help me to start off with what I would consider a starter palette. And I can change it. For instance, the one photograph I said was from when we were away. Seasonally over there, it's not that far off from here. Depends on where we were. If we were up a little closer to Scotland, they had a little bit more leaves turning. As we moved a little bit farther south, it didn't really have that much. So you can just vary it. Same thing's going to happen here. Well, I wonder what it looks like in upper Maine or even, Canada as compared to the Cape. And some of you are down a little farther south, your colors may not have actually started to change. And of course, it's the type of trees. So we're going to be talking about, I'm going to be talking, and hopefully people will ask questions. I'm going to be talking just a little bit about how we break those colors up so that rather than just going to your pastel selection and saying, oh, I need orange and I need yellow and I need red and maybe some greens, we're going to talk about the attributes of those colors that help kind of create that richer, more layered feel that we have when we look at our leaves now. A red leaf by itself may look red, but when we put them all together and the light is coming through, some of them are going to take on a different sort of a feel, like a reddish purple that it's in the shade, maybe a little bit more of a touch of a reddish orange where it's being hit by the sun. Okay, any questions? All righty. Okay, so to start with, a couple of things that we want to do. I'm going to use this as the test palette. What I'm going to do over here is I'm going to show you how those colors are going to change, because this is really important. The color that you put these on is going to impact how these strokes that you make appear to the viewer. Now, this does not take into account that I could have washes underneath this. I could tone the paper. I'm just using paper that, is, the colors from the manufacturer. If I was doing it as a painting, I may actually be putting in a wash on some of this, whether it was local wash or a wash that it's a little bit more intuitive colors, either way, but we're just going to get started. Okay, if we look at this yellow right here, we've got, let's see, I'm going to just slide this in just a little bit so you can see it. I don't have any control over the auto focus, so hopefully this will work all right. It's just my hand there. Okay, this is a pretty bright yellow. Okay, we've got it on this medium gray. So let's see what this yellow looks like here. And the yellow is going to be a little bit different on each of these. And I know we've done this before, but okay, look at how bright that looks right there. You just hang on a second. I'm just going to shut the door here. Okay, the way we would describe this color is it's vivid. This is a really bright, vivid yellow. Sitting on these, the brightness kind of changes depending on, one, the value, and two, the actual color that it is. You're not going to see as much of a difference between these two as you would between these two, because these are closer in value. These are a wider range of value right here. So if I want my yellows, what I want to do is I want to think in terms of how am I going, that's a great yellow, great, and those, what are the trees? It's the aspen, I believe, that have that really gorgeous yellow. But a whole tree of this color is just not going to work. It needs something next to it that's going to temper it. And so what we do here, I just broke my glove, so I'm going to put another one on. So what we do is we look at your palette, and if anyone's taking notes, just an idea. Vivid, okay? A continuum, vivid to dull or muted, vivid. I'm starting to look for muted colors that have the feel of yellow. So I've already pulled some out. I'm going to give them a little wipe. Some of them may, this is where like your ochres turn out nice. So let's try this. Okay, see how muted that's kind of on the screen. Looks a little slightly orangey, but I think it's still more yellow. So let's try this. This is going to be our yellow column right here. Okay. So now the contrast between those two, we're still in the yellow family. What we have is we have something that's a little bit more muted. Oh, this one, look at that. Oh, and you know what? On this piece of paper, it's starting to look a little bit more green. Okay, which is fine. That's okay. I mean, we're not, let's see what it looks like here. No, now it doesn't look green at all there. But it's interesting on that one. It does take on a greenish cast to it all together. Okay, they are really popping out on here, and we've done this before. But let's see what else we have here. Okay. So this one looks like it's going to be pretty muted. So let's try this one. This one's going to be a little bit lighter. I'm not necessarily doing these from light to dark. I'm just dropping them down. Okay, it still has a yellow feel to it. Now it's taking on more of what we would say. Oh, look at how light it looks here. Wow, that one looks really light. This one disappears. That one's coming up. Okay, this one here is very muted, and when I use the word muted, it's what's happened is it's I can see a yellow in it. It could be but it is just such a faint color that it's really compared to that. Um, it's just got a lot of light value and a lot of white in it. Whatever it was that was mixed to make this has really knocked that intensity, vividness out of the color. And anytime you start adding darker light to a pure color, what happens is it does mute. It just, automatically mutes. Let's put those over to the side. Gonna just pull up another one from over here because that one didn't quite do what I thought it was going to. And looking for another muted one here. This is also a great way for you to, let's see, let's test this. Oh no, that one's actually a green, so that one's not going to be any good. This is a great way to test what colors you actually have and what colors you need. So when you're going through it and you're just compiling these little charts, you're just going to take note of the fact that, okay, maybe I am missing, let's test this one. Oh, no, look at that. That one's, oh, you probably can't see it there. I'm going to just show you this one. Holding this up and look at, this is Chestnut of Great American. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take, over here, I can see that it's actually not a yellow, but let's put it right there. Look at how pink it looks there. Can you see how pink that looks? This color here is super, super pink. So this one here, I'm going to save this. I'm going to put it over towards my yellow pile. The ochres will often have really nice light. Oh, here's one. Here's the nice little one. Let's try this guy right here. Okay, let's try this. He's again. Now look at this. Remember I said that one was feeling a little bit green? Look at this. That's a better one for there. Even though it's got a little orange in it, it's okay. That's going to be, so that kind of comparison there shows up really well here. Definitely has got an orange. Let's get an orange over to the side because colors are not necessarily linear where they have to say, clearly if you're doing a color wheel, it is going to be linear. Well, we're just testing our colors out. That's a pretty dull orange. Let's get something that's a little bit brighter, a little more vivid, because we're going to start with these vivid colors. Okay, so let's go back to this guy. Wow, that one looks as though it would still, let me get my little marker here. This, I'm going to put a little X on because I like that better. I'm going to like that better with my greens than I am with the yellows right now. I'm not going to put a big X through it because I could be wrong. I may change my mind on that. But this one here just tells me, okay, that green might, this color here might get knocked down to the greens. Okay, so where did I leave off? With this little guy right here? Oh, not that one. So I get for just putting it down too quickly. Oh, well. That's it. What did I do with it? Okay, well, good thing I got it on all three because I don't know what I did with it. Okay, bright orange. Okay, so we started moving into a little bit of those oranges. So let me get that orange right here. Really bright orange. Let's get one that's that's a muted, but it's light. Muted, but it's light. So I want to get a darker value. Your yellows are never going to go as dark as your oranges or your reds. And your red, let's get this guy. Okay. That's definitely got an orangey feel to it. Let's put that right there. Forgetting to put the colors over here. Okay, so what's happening here is I'm seeing, okay, this one here really was my dark one. Okay, so by process of what I'm doing, I'm also saying to myself, okay, great. So if I'm going to move that guy down where I have greens, I now don't have a darker muted yellow. So I'm just going to go over here and see if I can find one. Ooh. This one looks a little too orange. Let's try that. Ooh, that's a nice orange, Joe. Look at that. Let's put that to the side. Now, do you ever do this with your colors where you're just playing with them, seeing what happens when they're next to one another? If you don't, you should try it. Okay, I am not actually seeing a darker, oops, let's try this guy. Nope, he's not. Okay, so this guy may wind up being my darker yellow one. Wow, I'm really surprised I don't have a darker one. The problem is my pastels wind up going into different boxes. It's very linear box. But this is where I would take my marker. I'm going to start a list over here that I need a dark muted yellow. Okay, let's say I'm going to write need right here. Okay, so that means before I even get started, I know I needed a muted one. Now, what I can do, let's say I was out plein air, I don't have it. So what can I do about that is I can think of what's the opposite of yellow. The opposite of yellow is violet. So let's see if I can find a darker violet that might take the place of, I'm trying to think of a yellow leaf that is in shadow. Okay, that greenish one might work, but I'm trying to. Oh, that one. Oh, let's see what it looks like next to the yellow. Oh, in shadow, that may actually, that one might work out. I'm gonna put it right here. It's not gonna look as dark. It's gonna start looking light over here on this dark paper. And this kind of tells you too, okay, what color surface do I want to start working on? What's your, end goal here? I mean, I'm not one of these artists that start with an image in my head and that's what I want it to look like at the end. I evolve. I start with a general idea of what I want. And then as I paint, that kind of changes based on what I've done with my painting. So this it's got a violet in it, but you know what? I'm gonna see if I have one that is a little, ooh, that one's too blue. Let's see if I can find one that's dark, but doesn't have quite as much violet in it. Oh, this is a little warmer violet. This is a little warmer one right there. Oh, oh, that one's a little cooler, a little warmer. I can definitely see the red in that one. I'm gonna put that right there. I kind of like that. I must be making bigger marks here. I'm losing my. Yeah, see, that's starting to actually really feel cool, which is fine if it's in the shadows. Maybe I do want it to feel a little bit cool. That might be a nice intermediate. So I could have that. And then I could
Betsy,
have that's even darker. Hmm. What that kind of thing does too is it says, ah, all right, I may need to, if I really want to get that real contrast going with the light and the dark, I might not be able to find a yellow that actually goes as dark a value as I want. And I don't want it dark like you know, like a this end of the, I'm looking, if my yellows fall right here, even if I had a dark that fell right here, I don't need my dark yellow to go up here. I mean, that's not going to make any sense anyway.
Betsy, I just have a
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
I was just wondering if you were doing this on a, for a painting where the leaves are going to be different colors, how would you layer these? Are you going to talk about that or I'm just looking
Um,
at some of these and
right.
wondering,
So what I'm going for now, the layering part that would really come with some of these darker ones down first
okay,
and developing but with the light. I'll be quite honest, a lot of times, let me use this one as an example. A lot of times, okay, I'm not going to do all this is medium light to light right over here. I'm not going to put the dark color underneath that. I'm going to put the dark color where the dark is. Okay. So
okay,
there's two different ways you can set up that layering effect. And one of them is by, toning the paper. That's what this is right here. These are just toned papers. It's just, the manufacturer did it, not me. The other way to do it is, it's almost as if I think of it as puzzle pieces. Like this shape is going to be a lighter value than that shape right there. And I do it the big shapes. So, for instance, this is a green tree. So I wouldn't necessarily be putting this color where that is, but see all these darker little patches in here? I
yeah,
could be putting those colors in here.
okay. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the thing I
So
kind of struggle with the foliage in the fall because you want to show the different colors, but then when you start to layer them, they just end up muddy and
correct.
uh
Yeah, it's really easy to make that mud. That's why what I'm trying to show here is that continuum so that those really rich colors wind up being the ones that are on top.
okay,
These are like the supporting colors to make that really sing where the light is hitting it. Because, in especially the example I showed you there, there's this really strong light that's coming from behind the trees, but it's also hitting the front because you can see the way the light is hitting right
right.
here.
Yeah,
Okay. So I want to make sure that it feels like light is just coming through. And the reason that's behind, it's not like it's backlit because it is behind it, but the light is actually coming from over here. And
okay.
and this is an open area, so that it's capturing the light as opposed to over here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so with the orange, now I can do it with the reds. Now, our reds for, let's see, let's pull up, we're just gonna try to avoid, we have some really beautiful reds. But the reality of it is it's not a Christmas red. It's, let's see how this one is gonna look right there. And that's like a little bit more knocked down. Let me show you what I mean by comparison. Okay, this guy here looks like a, oh, that might actually not be so bad. See the way this one all of a sudden starts taking on an orangish feel next to it? So I'm looking for one that's really, at the moment, got more of an orangey red feel to it. But actually, I thought I was going to put that up there and didn't like it. That's why it's great making these I go by this, I say, oh, maybe I won't use it. I put it down and say, oh, maybe that will look all right. I'm gonna put that over to the side, those two over to the side, let's see, oh. I'm gonna try to find a red that I wouldn't use. I'm gonna start picking up all these reds and actually like them. I haven't taken the wrapper off of this one yet. This is a schminke. Oh, yeah, you know what? I am liking these reds. Okay, well, I don't know where I was going with that. Careful with the red. I'm trying to avoid the Christmas red. That one's more of a Christmas red. That one really is more, I'm feeling as if that's going a little cooler, that's a little warmer. If you can say to yourself, cool and warm. Okay, and that one's warmer. So this one stands out. Little small pieces of that may actually work. I'm gonna put that in there. There we go. And this guy here. And the reason I'm using it like that is I haven't taken the wrapper off. But I wouldn't paint with the tip like that. You know, if you don't take wrappers off, I'll be quite honest, what happens is you wind up using it like a crayon and you're just coloring in. If you take the wrapper off, what happens is I'm gonna just crack it here and pull it out, you're far more likely, and I know you've heard this, sometimes it's nice to hear things more than once though.
Sometimes I break it, and I pull it out, so the
Yeah.
wrapper's still on.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah, okay, what you're doing
yeah.
is peeling it back, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just getting underneath there. Sometimes those wrappers get a little stuck. Now these are handmade, so it just comes out. It's harder to do them with the ones that are machine made. Rembrandt, you know, the wrapper's put on so tightly that it's really hard trying to. So out of its wrapper, I'm more likely to, you know, use the side and get far more interesting marks than just using the tip and coloring it in. Okay, so good tip right there. Okay, so I've got some nice reds. I do need to get a little carried away talking. Here's my other orangey one. To go back to my oranges. There's a nice muted orange. See what I'm doing? I've got some that are intense and I've got a lot of them that are muted. Okay, that's what's going to make your autumn foliage stand out, is because you've got a really nice vivid color, but then you've got these backup colors that are just muted. They're not going to compete with that. They're going to support it. They're going to enhance it. Opposite of orange is blue. So since we tried that with the violet, since we're going in that direction, let's see if I can get a muted blue that might go really nice with the oranges. I'm gonna put that there. That one might. Some of these I had. Whoops. Yep, there it is. % of that. Wow, that's, look at on this paper, that looks really, I bet it's gonna look a little garish there too. See, I would not like that. See that difference? Doesn't look so bad there. Doesn't look so bad. It's starting to take on a real bluey green, real obviously bluey green. So there's that marker. I'm not gonna use it on this paper. I don't mind it on that color paper. You notice I've kind of given up putting things over on this side. Just put that right there. Okay, let's see if I can find a darker one. Sometimes what you can do is you can go, you know, the word brown to me feels like it just doesn't have any color in it. And I want them to have color. So some people may call it a brown. Ooh, look at that's not dark. Nice color, not dark. Let's try this one. Feels a little on the red end. Put it next to the other ones. Okay, so sure I'm gonna like that color. No, not so sure. I'm gonna leave it there because I kind of like it here. But there, if you imagine, like I'm kind of picturing that up in a tree with the leaves, and I think I'd be better off with, oh, I'm wondering if that, remember I had that blue violet there? Wondering how that blue, because it's still got enough blue in it. Let's see. Ah, it's not a blue violet. That is a blue, but it's a really neutral color. Let's try putting a little next to that. Pretty dark. Same thing I had over here. Remember when I was putting the colors on? Look at how dark that looks next to it. Let's try it there. No, I'm not gonna like it that dark. See what this guy's like. Nope, still too dark. See what this is. Too dark. Because the shadows aren't going to be dark. That's the problem. Your photograph's going to make those shadows of an orange and a yellow look dark, when in reality, if you walk outside and look at them, they're not as dark. So let's see if we can find something over here. Ah, it's too light. That's a nice blue. Okay. That could go. That might be worth it. It's not, let me cover that up in the shadows. That blue may work. These colors may work. Not totally convinced on this bluey green there. But maybe this one will work. So we'll put that. Oh gosh, look at it. Really looks violet there. Oh my God, it's hilarious. Okay, let's get our little reds down here. Now this is the one that's really Christmassy red. Cooler, warmer. And this is mine. So hopefully you're noticing, I've started with these warm colors here, and I'm introducing my cool colors and my darker colors so that they enhance those three colors. I am not putting a separate line for my blues and my greens down here. What I'm going to do is I just really want to enhance these colors, because those are the ones that that's what fall is all about. Your reds, your orange, and your yellows, and that's your yellow greens. You remember that guy? He's going to be in there too, but I'm looking. Okay, reds. Let's see what this guy looks like. Oh, he's pretty muted. This is a hard pastel. It's one of my go-to colors. Okay, less vivid. This is a new pastel. It's not the Rose Madder. I don't remember what color this one is. Okay, starting to mute. Might be nice to pull in a little bit of a red that's got a little bit. Okay, so the complementary to red is green. I think one of the hardest things is that red and green combination with foliage, for me, sometimes just kind of pushes it into a slightly garish, Christmassy sort of color combination. So I don't really use the red and the green a lot. The orange and the blue, the yellow and the violet, but the red and the green's not. And we all have likes and dislikes with palettes. So that one's a little orange. Okay, this guy here. He used it here. Let's see what this looks like down here. I'm trying on the dark. Oh, Let's try it up here. Ah, look at that. That's that same one there with the red. That looks nice with the red. Let's try it next to that orange. No, it actually looks nice with both of them. This color, same color next to two different colors is going to feel differently. I kind of feel like I like it better with the red than with the orange, but I wouldn't discount that. You know, if you ever have like spare time, you want to do artwork, but you really don't, you don't have the energy or inclination to actually use all those brain cells. People think art's like really easy. You have to do an awful lot of, oh, I found a color, an awful lot of thinking. And doing things like this kind of hones your skills at looking at color, but at the same time, it's serving a purpose. It's helping me pick out colors that I could potentially use. I dropped a pastel. I'm just going to pick it up so I don't step on it. Okay, this is a nice one. This is one of my schminkies, and it is really just a beautiful color. I'm trying to see the. I usually don't know what colors, what they're called, and I have no idea what it is. But this has got a lovely red. Let me put this right here so you can see it. It's got a really nice red feel to it. That really looks brown up there. This one's got a nicer color quality, but it might go good. Anyway, oh, nice. Nice. Okay. Remember that one I had in two spots? Okay, I gotta get rid of it down here. I'm keeping it right there, okay? Gonna get rid of that one right there. Where is it? It's this one right here. Let me put it there. Yeah, that's it right there. That one's really gonna be the brightest of the three of them. Let's say you said, well, you know, I really like the complementary. I really want to put green in there. You know what? I'm gonna go for something that's like a bluey green. Let's test this guy here. See how much green that's in there? You know, if it's in the shadows, I'm not gonna want it quite that green. And what's gonna happen with this guy? This guy's gonna be pretty warm. And I prefer a cooler color in the shadows. It's not necessarily always cool colors in the shadows, but for the purposes of this, I'm sticking with the idea of warm where the sun's hitting it. And wow, that's a hard pastel. I make a bet that's an old Rembrandt that kind of worked its way in my box. Okay. That's dark. This might be too dark. Let's put it over here and have a test. That's pretty dark, but if I'm trying to show a contrast and something in the shadow, this color here. Oh. This color here might be my dark areas right in here. Look how nice that looks with all of them. You know, it's got a blue feel to it, but it is not so blue that you see the blue. You see the dark first. Right there, that one right there. So that guy's important. Yeah, I like him next to it. Now, I'm not talking about the shadow of the leaf. I'm talking about the shadows of trees that are behind it. Not necessarily the leaf. I'm gonna fill that all the way in. Really nice. Partly showing this is really for you to get the, you know, the process of thinking through color, you know, not necessarily that I'm doing it right or wrong, but I'm doing it the way I see for what I have in my head for the colors. This is pretty muted, pretty light though. Look at that. Boom. This is a nice green. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's a nice one. Look at that. Well, that might work out well. And it's a muted green. It's got a touch of green in it, but not so much green that it's jumping out like this guy did right here. Definitely more muted. Okay. So what's going to happen is by the time I get these colors all combined in the painting, I'm going to make sure that my vivid colors where that light is hitting it are the ones that are on top. And these other colors that are more muted are the ones that are going to either act as what's in the shadows. I'm going to try for those guys. Well, this guy here, I'm going to leave, I think. Or the obscured background that's a little bit darker. I mean, in some cases you do have green trees, so you would want to have, some greens in there. But my focus for today was really just setting up what I want for these. So next step would be, I really have to decide what color. I'm just going to push this back just a little bit. I just have to decide what color surface I would want to paint on. And with having this starter of, for these three colors, 4 or 5 just different variations in value from dark to light and in intensity from vivid to muted, means that I can kind of set up that feel for the sunlight coming through, the shadows. I can use some of these colors behind so that it pushes, the muted ones will push the more vivid colors forward. And like I said, I really like this dark bluish green one to really act as some of that background. The other thing that, this is not taken into account is that with the trees, that background objects are there. Those really would wind up being a bit more obscured. Like if I had several trees that were, oh, let's see if one of these had that. I think this one did. Okay. So there's several trees in here. This is the main one here. This is the one that's going to have more of a definition to it. I can have a wash in the background and I can add some of these colors on top of it. I could drag my pastels over some of it, add some of the lights on top of it. But these trees that are back here, I'm not going to define them. Okay, almost as if you had your camera on portrait setting, how it does that? And you take the portrait, try it with your cell phones. You take a portrait, the object, I do it with still life all the time, flowers. The flowers in focus, everything else is just slightly obscured. Yes, you can see that there's a branch or there's a tree, there's an object, but it's all soft edges because you don't want all these things over here to compete with this. You just really want the shapes that are there, the way the lights and darks are. And again, use use a digital format, look at it through your phone, your laptop, your iPad. The photographs really can kill it. But look at this, okay? That's exactly what we were doing right here, okay? I can put any of these colors behind here and add that yellow. And I may decide at some point that that yellow there really is a little bit too yellow. I might need to temper it down, but this is just a starting edge. Same thing goes with this in here. I'm seeing some really pale oranges in there. Okay. Might want to get something that's a little bit, let's see what this color looks like right here. That's a pale one. Now it's hard to see, so hang on a second. Let me put this right here. I made that too small. There's the vivid orange. Look at that one. Okay. This makes that feel. Go like that. Okay, if you're trying to figure out if, oh, I'm gonna have to move that forward, something you can see it. Wow, that's very close in value there, but that center right there is really popping out because of the color around it. Even though they're fairly close in value, this is slightly darker, this is very muted. Clearly, we know if we take and we put that same orange here, we take another orange that's a little darker. Okay, we can see that. And what you're trying to do is make this color pop out. You want that guy to sit behind. Okay, and if this has too much color in it, it's competing with that. Okay, that's my 2 cents on that. Any questions, comments?
Betsy, this is really helpful. I'm gonna try to do this myself. I was just curious, do you have a background, one of these pastel matte colors that you prefer to work on for fall? Or does it matter, does it mostly depend on what the subject is?
Depends on the subject, and I think it depends what sort of contrast you're trying to create. I used this one for one where it was like a close up looking at you're very close to the trees, so what you're seeing is a section of it.
Yeah,
And this, was really going for more of something that was it had more a dramatic feel to it because it was zoomed in, you had the bright color with it, and with this wine color behind it, it actually enhanced it. These are going to wind up getting a little bit more subtle. And then it's like anything you could take and you could say, well, geez, I really want, an orange. And you could tone your paper orange and work on top of that.
yeah,
It's the same with blue. Blue would be really nice behind any. I just don't have any of these blue sheets of paper.
right.
But blue would be nice behind it, especially with the amount of oranges and yellow oranges, that blue, compared to the complementary interaction that's going to go on. If we take our blue.
I think I haven't experimented enough with the different background paper colors.
Yeah.
I tend to rely on making my own through the making using the background that I want. But I'd like to use more of the papers that are already in that color so I can, yeah.
Yeah, and the best selection you're going to find for paper choices is online at Dakota Pastels. So I can go on to Dick Blick, which I love. I order a lot from Dick Blick, but they do not have the same number of colors of, let's say, pastel matte as if I go to the Dakota Pastel,
Right, yeah,
and they have every color I think that they make.
right.
So they also have little sampler sets, and I was telling the class yesterday about that. So if you're looking, I mean, I think the sample set you don't get to choose what's in it, but if you want
Right.
to try different papers, they have a. I think Lisa had brought a pack of it in once.
Yeah, I actually tried the boards, which I really
Ah,
liked, but they
Oh,
were
okay.
but they're basically the paper just mounted.
Uh-huh.
The other thing I like about Dakota, I try to buy everything I can there, even if it was like $2 less somewhere else, because they answer the phone, which is
mhm.
Oh,
huge. They like will go out to the warehouse. If I ask them about a set, they'll go out and get it, to answer the questions for me.
yeah.
Um, I just I just really appreciate all that, and I want to support that kind of store. So, but anyways,
Yeah.
that wasn't really your, but yeah,
Oh,
you can
that's
buy
good
these
to know,
board
though.
samplers.
Yeah, good to
Yeah,
know.
they're and they're honest.
Yeah.
There's other people out there. I think I won't say who, but I bought a 50 Giro set, and 50% of them were substitution, the wrong colors. And I contacted Big Giro because the person wouldn't respond to my emails and they got involved, contacted her and made, I sent it back and then they shipped me this set. But you have to be careful. That's why I like Dakota will occasionally, like I can see one substitution out of 50, but 25 out of 50. So, you have to, but I think Jerry's and Dick Blick and those places are on the up. They're honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to the choices of papers, there's a couple of different ways that you can, whether you're toning it yourself or whether you're buying it, is you want to think about what how much of a contrast or an impact of color are you trying to create with that background color? Because the point of having a a toned paper is that some of it shows through. Otherwise, if I color this totally, fill every bit of it with color, and I color every bit of this with color, it doesn't really matter what color paper I started with. You've just
Yeah,
totally wiped out it. So the idea is to that's why I put these four here. So you can see the interaction of each of these with the exact same colors, it will look different.
yeah,
So
this is
even if
really
it's like
helpful.
little scraps and you test the colors and say,
Yeah,
oh, I really want that extra punch. I want that dark color behind it so that these colors really jump out at the paper. Maybe you want something that it's a little bit softer, subtler, calming, relaxing, something where the color of the paper isn't quite as well, a dark will do it or a color will do it.
yeah.
Something that's I like the mid-tones.
Wait,
Those are
you
my
can see
favorite.
where it
Okay,
makes
you
a
can go either
difference.
way. Oh, sorry, I
Yeah.
talked over you. What did you say?
No, I was just gonna say, I can see now where it really makes a difference to
Yeah,
have
yeah.
whatever the
Yeah.
background color is, and this is really helpful because
I'll
I
be quite
I didn't
honest. The
think of that.
hardest color to paint on is going to be white for me.
Right.
You just got this white sheet of paper, and guess what? All these, look at this beautiful yellow that's right here.
Right.
You can't even hardly see it.
No.
Okay, and it's not just the filming in real life. It's really hard to
But you
see.
use
Right.
Lux though, Roach. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. You
Oh,
use Lux, Betsy, which is
Lux,
white.
yeah, but you can tone the paper.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
rarely
tried
do
out,
if
yeah.
I have a white sheet of paper, I tend to tone it. So that's what I would do in the studio. Okay, I'm out on location. I don't have all these colors to, pick and choose from. And am I going to paint with all of those? Maybe not. You don't need to paint with a ton of colors because
Yeah.
what you want is you want these colors to interact, which is why like this
Yeah.
one color could go down here, that color could go what nice up there. It's, so you don't need a ton. You just want to make sure that they work together. So on location, these are just in plastic because I just use them as little samples. I just do quick little color studies. Okay,
Nice.
just quick.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Something
like
a
it.
little bit more like abstracty color wise. Just getting down basics. None of these are finished. That's not the purpose of them. But that would be the next step. Is I could take those colors and I could have something that I wanted to paint, and I could just do a quick little color study just to get an idea.
Yeah,
That
I
that's
would
would
great.
think,
be,
Betsy, if you're demoing in a professional setting, because the different color papers, if you're used to a particular color, like the maize or the buttercup, and then all of a sudden you switch. Like I tried out the La Carte paper and I really liked it, but it was stunning. Like the colors that I used on my U art, they bore no comparison. It
yeah.
like everything, it was completely unpredictable. So I would think of somebody like you, like if you're going to do a demo in a more professional setting, you probably going to have a go-to paper because you don't want to have
Oh, yeah.
unexpected. You got to know what it's going to look like when you put the
Oh, yeah,
color
yeah, yeah.
down.
I'm gonna have a better idea. I probably would have done, if I'm doing a demo for a group, I would
Yeah,
do a little color study absolutely
well,
first, so I know what I
true.
want. So here, I'm just gonna give you an idea. So these are both plein air. So there's the little one, okay? I went back and did it as a demo. There's the big one. Okay, so not exactly the same, but you can see there's characteristics of the colors that I had in this and the colors that I
Well,
had in here. This,
that's Fuller Farm, right?
yes, it is Fuller Farm.
I was there that day. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that was a really nice day.
Oh, it's
That was like
beautiful. Yeah,
the whole autumn's been like crazy, even when we
I
were
know.
away. Had a little bit of rain, but you know, it
It's a
was
great
really,
spot.
really nice weather. So hopefully that was helpful. The idea is to get you thinking about the color choices that you make before you paint. And
Yeah.
you know, if you're going to paint, let's say a series, this is a really good idea because you can
Oh,
just
yeah.
take these colors, keep them together, and then you can add, you can omit colors when you paint, but you've got just a base to say, okay, this will work. And yeah, go back into it later. That yellow is probably going to get knocked. Yeah, that yellow I think is a little garish. I'm not really sure I'm crazy about that, but that's okay. That's the whole point of doing something like this. So uh, there's no right or wrong. You know, you're just doing it to learn something about your color.
Right. Yeah.
And the last thing I'm going to say on that is the paint along is going to be autumn colors. Okay, so if
Oh,
any
good.
paint along when the video for this goes out, there'll also be the date. It's not going to be next week. It'll be the week after. So that is the week of the 18th. It's probably going to be on the Tuesday or the Thursday. And we'll do an autumn scene. And this is kind of a little bit of the planning part of hitting some of those autumn colors, you know, for other paintings, but also for the paint along. Trying to think if there was anything else to say. No, I think that's it. Any other questions?
No, sounds great. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, thank you guys for coming.
Really
Appreciate
helpful.
it.
Thanks. It was really fun to see this process.
Oh,
Yeah.
good, good, good.
It's
And you know, and
terrific.
write yourself notes. Remember what I wrote over here? I want to look through my stuff and see if I can find a dark muted yellow. So this is all just when they talk about practice or performing, this is your practice. You're just practicing colors.
Cool.
So you don't have to beat yourself up about anything. All you're doing is really just trying to understand the palette that you have and how to choose colors to actually do a painting. Okay?
Really helpful.
Thanks, Betsy.
you.
Have a good
Okay,
day.
Thanks,
take it easy,
Betsy.
everyone.
Thanks so much.
Okay.
Bye.
See you again. Bye-bye.
Bye.